Hey everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, we are going to upload our logs in Splunk and then we'll start looking into those logs. So how do we upload our data to Splunk? In this video, we are going to follow Splunk standalone architects. In standalone architect means we're using this Splunk as a search head as well as indexer and as well as a forwarder. Means we're going to upload the data within this instance from this instance and run a search on this instance. Means we have just one layer approach over here. So this is called standalone instance architect. I'll share a documentation as well where you can find different architectural things in Splunk. And I explained in one of my previous videos, the first video where I had an introduction to Splunk. You can find that video as well. All right, so let's jump to our data ingestion. So in Splunk, we call it getting data into Splunk. So how do you get the data in Splunk? You want to click on settings, and over here on the left side, either you can use data inputs or I will just click on add data tab over here. So it's going to take us to this page. On this page, it's going to show us different data sources, cloud computing data, networking data, operating system data, and security data. And under that, we have different options to architect our data. So for example, upload means we can currently upload data from this computer to this Splunk instance and start analyzing. And over here, monitor data means we can monitor files and ports from Splunk platform instance. Means we can continuously monitor data from a file that we can put in this configuration file. And forwarder data means we can forward data from a Splunk forwarder. Means we have a two-layer approach where we have forwarder that's going to send our data from that forwarder agent to this Splunk instance, and then we can start running our searches on the data. So let's click on this. Since I have data on this computer that I'm using to access this Splunk, I'll just click on upload data, and the data on this page, it's going to ask us the file that we want to upload to Splunk. So I would just click on select file, and I have my logs in here. I have my tutorial data. In tutorial data, I'm going to use let's try to use mail SV secure log data. So this is a dummy data, and I'll share this with you guys as well. You guys can use it. This is very comprehensive data. So source, select source, and we selected the source, we uploaded, and you see done in here. And then we can go to the next setting. All right, so like I said in my previous explanation that Splunk, whenever we try to upload data, we have metadata fields that automatically picks by Splunk, and those metadata fields are source, host, source type, and index. Source is the source where we're going to get the data, and source type, what type of data is it, and the host means the server or machine name where we're getting the data from, and then index is a bucket, like I explained in one of my previous videos, that we're going to store our data in. So it's just like a bucket name for that specific type of data. So on this page, it's asking us that select a source type. So I don't want to go by default. Since this is a data, we can name it anything that you want to. We have different options, but I'm just going to name it to, like, let's say, let me name it differently. We can name it. So we can say secure login data. Let's just say it. And you can add any description that you want to. I'll just keep it like that. And the categorization, since I'm using my own categorization, you can do whatever you want to do. An app, search and reporting app. So this is a app where this source type is going to get saved. So I'll just click on save, and over here, it's on the right side, it's going to show us the pairs data in individual data events. So right now I see that we have all of these. This is just like a summary overview where we can find out our events being broken into sub events as well. So we have a time, then we have host name, and our activity that was performed on this. So we can click on the event summary as well. Number of lines, each line, and number of events, 1,000, number of events %. You want to see this 100% over here. On the left side, we do have event break settings as well, that it's going to apply to this data. So it's already applied, it's auto. And timestamps, we have a timestamps over here, so we don't need to do anything. if we didn't have a timestamp or timestamp was messed up, we could have checked this up and it was going to help us as well. And advanced setting, of course, I don't want you to just do any customization in advanced setting as of now. So click next. On this page, it's going to ask us to assign a host name to this data. So it could be a constant value, this data. You can use a regular expression to assign that value from the data, or you can have that data from a segment number in the path for the data. So I'll just use a constant value for this source. Like I can say that my secure host data, and this is a host name. This is one of the default metadata fields that we're assigning to this data. Then we have an index. By default, it says default index, and in Splunk there is a default index that's called main. And if I don't assign an index over here, it's going to save that data into a main index, but I'll just create my index over here. So my index name would be secure. Let's just use this secure IDX. And then of course, what type of data? I'm just using events and the path. If you want to create a home path for this index to be saved in Splunk, and all of those settings, home path, goal, thought path, and data integrity check. And the maximum size of entire data means this index and the what could be the maximum size that we can adjust to this index. And after that, it's going to truncate the data. Maximum size of hot, warm, and cold buckets. I'll explain these things in upcoming video, how this hot, warm, and cold bucket works. And all of those settings over here, we don't need to perform anything. Just name it, and I'll just run the search over here and just save it. So let me just remove IDX. I'll just save it. So we have created our index as well. Let's just review it, and we have uploaded the file. This is the file name. That's the source type of the file and the host that we given it to, and the index is going to save it to. So let's just submit it. And over here, it's going to show us, okay, we have uploaded the data. Now we can start searching into the data. So if I click on this, it's going to take back me to our search and reporting app within the search bar. All right, so we just ingested the data. Now we need to start searching into the data, and that's a fun part. So over here, if I start typing anything, the Splunk is going to make some suggestions on my search, and let's just see how those searches work. So for example, if I start doing this, and if I do anything after pipe, Splunk is going to suggest me, okay, you can have these kind of commands that you can run. I'm not just going to run anything as of yet. I'm just testing my SQL query suggestions over here. And if you notice right now, the default time is set to last 24 hours and the mode is smart mode. So this is the most common mode that we're going to run our searches in. Since we uploaded the data is in Splunk and we verified. Now let's start running our search into data. Let's just utilize the data. So if you remember, this was the index name of our data. So this is the syntax to find the data in index. So index equals whatever index we named it. We're just going to put in this way, and Splunk searches at that. Okay, this is a matching term that you can use. And if I run this index equals to whatever bucket or the index name that we use to store our data and last 24 hours, and this is a search bar in our smart mode, let's just run this search and let's see what we get. In index secure, we have this data inside Splunk, and we have the timestamps on the left side. We have the events breakdown over here. We have the metadata field underneath it. So host, that's a secure host that we assigned. If you guys remember, source, that's a secure log source that we assign it to, or the source of the data, and the source type, secure login data. That's the source type that we assign to this data. And over here, it's going to show us 971 number with the events. So these are the search results appear in the event tabs. Means whenever we want to search, these are the number of the results over here, 971. That's going to show us over here in the events panel on the right side. And of course, we have a search mode, and this is a timeline that it's going to show us, okay, in last 24 hours, what is the timeline where we got all of these data in here. So about 7 p.m. Tuesday, yesterday, February 27th and 2024, we got this data, all of the data around that time over here. And we can double click into to just zoom into that time. Right now, it's just zoomed out to 24 hours. So we have, of course, events. And on the left side, we have the fields. And these are the side field bar on the left side of this data. And from this event on the side field, we have the host. Of course, these are the selected fields. And if you see right here, it's 100%. And these are the selected fields, means these are the metadata fields that it's going to select automatically. Then we have secure, a source. Then we have source type and interesting fields like date, time, and all of these fields that Splunk automatically fetch from the data. So we have the index that we ran our search in. Then we have different punctuation that it performs. Splunk server, of course, the server where we store the data. So this is our Splunk server. So this is the name of my instance of the Splunk server that I'm using right now. And of course, we have more fields, 5 more fields. So this is going to show us additional fields over here. So it's going to cover one or more person fields over here. So you can say we have UID in here. This is a 0%, less than 10%. So it wasn't showing up over there. Now, what we can do, we can just look into this data. So we can click on this caret sign on the left side to just find different data extractions that are applied automatically to Splunk. So we have host. So on the left side, we have a field that it extracted, field name, and the values on the right side. So we have host, secure host, and source type, and the time stamp over here, index, line count, punctuation, and we have our Splunk server, the server where this data is going to store. So if we don't find anything that we expect to be extracted by Splunk, we can also extract those fields by clicking on this. Either we can do event extraction right here. We can use extract field from this event itself, or we can just double click on this and add to the search this event, or we can have our different filters applied to this search. So for example, I want to find all of the mail server one in the data. What I would do, I would just click on this and add to the search, and it's going to add mail server as a keyword, and now it's just going to show us all of those results that have these keywords in the event itself. And for example, just focus on this number 971. I want to find a data with this IP. This is a source IP that has all of those events that are coming from this IP. So I would just click on this. Let me select this and add to the search. Now what I did, let me add .23, missed it. Now we have 18 events out of those 971 events, where we have 194.8.74.23 IP, and that is the source of that IP. And now we have just filtered based on this IP. Means right now we're just looking at the data where we have mail server and we have this IP included in those events. So this is the way that we can just add more filters to our data to just go to that drill down. Over here we have a different list option right now. This data is showing us in a list form. We can go to a raw form as well. Like this is how we got the data from our log file, or we can go to our table form as well. So this is going to show us the data in tabular form as well. So let me just go back to list, and the format, of course, we can perform our formatting as well on the data as well. So just you can do that. Maximum lines per area that it's going to show over here. So for example, if I select all lines, it's going to show us all of the lines in here. Then the 20 per pages means these events on one page. Right now it's selected 20. I can go to 50. Now it's going to show me the 50 page. So right now I just had an 18, but if I remove this, let me remove this filter on a search in last 24 hours. Now it's going to show me a 50 lines or 50 events per page. And then of course on the right side, time picker, since we're selecting 24 hours, we can go back to whatever time we want to. So we have presets for the times as well. Let's say want to go 7 days back to this data. So you see now my number from 971 to we have now 9,000 events in Splunk for that specific index and this specific host name in there, or the server name. And if I want to go all time, it's going to show me the 9,829 events that it found in last all time. And these are the total ones that we can find for this specific index. And also we can use some relative, like for example, if I want to go back to 10 days, right? I can click the time filter over here, like 10 days, and we can apply it to, and it's going to go back to 10 days and get me the results for the data. And of course, we have real-time searching in the data. We can select the time. Our date ranges, between days, for example, this and this date, before that date, before this date, or since this date, starting from this point. And then of course we have date and time as well. Over here we just have date filter, and over here we have a date and time filter. Then we have advanced, like from now to how many hours we're gonna go back. All right, so on this tab we have jobs. Once this is going to finish, we can inspect the job as well. We can edit the job setting, inspect job, and delete this job. And once we start running this job, for example, if it's taking some time, we can pause this job, or we can stop this job, means we can stop this search. And also we can share this search results as well someone else by sharing this link too. And we can print out the results as well, of course. This way you can print out these results. If you want to share with some team, you can export it to CSV file, raw events, XML and JSON format as well. And of course, this is something that you can perform on this side as well. And of course, like I said, if we click on this Splunk Enterprise icon, it's going to take back into my default page. And then from the apps panel, we can select my search and reporting app. And over here, I would just like to show you the history. So these were the searches that we ran on this, and it's going to show us over here. So if you want to just go back to that search, we can just click on this and it's going to show you in here as well. So again, back to our previous searches. All right, so this was kind of like a little introduction and overview to the Splunk GUI format, and we uploaded the data just to walk through and how we're going to use this data. And based on this data, we are going to build our case scenarios, and just to show you guys how Splunk works. And then after that, we're going to start just deep diving more into Splunk architectural side, administration side, and all of those other aspects of this Splunk, instead of us just having to go to some advanced level power administration or architect level knowledge. So that was it for today, and thanks for watching this video. I'll be sharing next video and next detail in those video, and I'll share all of those links that I used in this video to just for you guys, so just follow along. Thank you very much.